Well, they have taken over. In 2012, ADV bikes officially became the hottest selling segment of the motorcycling market. And since 2020, the market itself, for the first time in years, experienced growth.
And one segment in particular contributed a ton to this. It's the adventure bike.
Maybe the pandemic accelerated this growth. Maybe it's other things that we might discover later. But in order to understand the rise of these motorcycles, we have to understand where it all started.
And this is actually a bit of a problem. I mean, how do you even define an adventure bike? Is a dual sport an adventure bike? Can't you have an adventure on any bike?
If we go by a modern definition of an ADV, it would have to be capable of going to remote, off-road places,
Capable of munching highway miles, it has to be comfortable, functional with storage options.
It seems like this is the definition that we as riders settled on. A motorcycle that's pretty good on the road and that can tackle off-road situations. So with that in mind, how far back do we want to go?
Life's a coat of many colors. It is never black and white.
Arguably, we could trace things back to the 50s and 60s with the advent of the Scrambler. These were mainly road bikes with some knobbies on them and high-mounted exhausts.
But if you look at the 50s Scrambler and at the modern day GS, do they really have much in common? I don't think so. I mean, people used to take regular bikes off the road back in the day, but I wouldn't say those have much in common with the adventurers we have today.
Yamaha took a step in this direction with the release of the DT1. The guys at Revzilla recently made some cool videos on it, you should check them out.
This one did mark the beginning of the modern dirt bike, but it didn't have many qualities for pavement riding. While it is a monumental achievement for its day, it's not in the direction we're thinking of.
Now, something remarkable would also be you subscribing to the channel. Thanks. You can also look in the land of the Queen, where Triumph released their TR5. Again, it starts to look like something familiar, but still quite far off our modern concept. But it was a step in the direction we know today.
But then, in 1980, at the turn of the decade, BMW came out with a motorcycle that changed everything. The R80 GS.
GS was an acronym for terrain and street. It was the first time that a motorcycle was defined by the term adventure. And for the first time, you can see similarities between a modern GS and this old grandpa.
It was something new, and BMW made sure to cash in the profits from it.
The Japanese paid close attention, coming out with bikes like the DR series, the Yamaha TDM, and most importantly, the Honda Africa Twin. You see, BMW might have started the modern adventure bike, but Honda took it and ran with it.
The Africa Twin became a legend. It was more powerful than a Beamer, cheaper, arguably more capable, and it earned its place in the history books. Sometimes being the first is not what matters. Being the best does.
The thing is, up to that point, the adventure bike wasn't extremely capable off-road. It could do it, but it wasn't amazing at it. And that changed when KTM released the 640 Adventure. The Austrians used all of their off-road racing experience and created a motorcycle that could go places that regular ADVs could only dream of. And then, a few years later, the 950 came to market, a bike that by any modern standard is considered a proper big adventurer. Yet this bike actually proved itself in the Dakar Rally, winning it in 2002. You see, Honda and BMW owned this category up to this point, but KTM showed everyone how capable these machines could actually get.
Arguably, the R80 started everything, and the 950 started the adventure bike as we know it today. True, the waters are a bit muddy. It's extremely hard and subjective to pinpoint one motorcycle, one year, one event that changed everything. But you can pinpoint a chain of events.
See, I mentioned the 950 actually winning a Dakar, and that's true and utterly amazing. And if you think about it, the ADV bike actually has its roots in rallying. Think about it. A rally stage consists of a liaison, which is a long stretch of road, a special stage, which is the hardcore off-road section, and then another liaison home. Now, if you take the competitive aspect out of it, you get an adventure biker's route today. You start home, ride the highway to get to some trails, explore the mountains, and come back.
When you strip it down to its basics, ADVs and rallying might have more in common than you might imagine. But why? I mean, true, these bikes have been around for quite some time, but why did they only fairly recently blow up?
The answer is again vague. There is no one event that can tell the truth. But here's what I think. With traffic laws getting stricter and stricter, pavement touring getting more crowded every single year, people always seek discomfort. We look to go past limitations, and you know where there are none? Off the road. It's a place with no speed cameras, no parking laws, nothing alike. It's a place where we can feel free again. And we can also truly get away from life.
I mean, visiting a roadside beach that's covered in tourists can be fun, but that's not getting away. You're not by yourself, you don't have the same sense of being in a place where nobody else has ever been. The adventure motorcycle allowed us, mere mortals, to achieve this serenity.
To explore more than we're normally allowed to by the pavement. It's an escape, and this escape has been motivated by some amazing feats. There are plenty, but I can think of 3 that stand out for me. In 1973, Ted Simon rode his Triumph Tiger 500 around the world. It was a crazy, wild experiment, one that motivated an entire generation. A decade later, in '85, Emilio Scotto embarked on a trip around the globe, a trip that lasted for 10 years on an off-road Honda Goldwing.
I never thought I would say these 2 words in the same sentence, but here we are. And yet, while we admired them, we always saw these people as daredevils. People so crazy, so different from us, that it was hard to put ourselves in their shoes. And that all changed in 2004, when a little TV show called Long Way Round came out.
This was a series where Charlie Borman and Ewan McGregor traveled around the world on their BMW GSs. But traveling around the world wasn't the special part. Who they were was. You see, these were not adventurers, they weren't mechanics. They were actors.
People like you and me, having regular jobs, living regular, boring lives. They showed that us, regular Joes, could achieve something amazing. Amazing adventures.
These were people that we knew. It felt like a close friend completed the journey. We could finally relate and hope to do that too.
Yes, they did have support crews in the background. The trip itself is not what changed everything. The message that their show broadcast, though, that did change everything. It changed perspective, and that's an incredible achievement.
And that's how we got here, in 2023. You would think this segment has finally settled down, but I think it just started. People are starting to realize that a 250 kilo GS may not be the right tool at all times. Hence the middleweight ADV, which is one of the hottest markets of today. These bikes are like the SUVs of the motorcycle world. They are the incarnation of the word versatility.
Just like SUVs, everyone started building adventure bikes, even the likes of Ducati and Harley Davidson. Who would have thought that 10 years ago? You see, motorcycles change. We change too, society changes, and everything tends to adapt. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where adventure bikes started or how we even define them. What matters is the adventures we are having on them. It's the trip that matters. And these trips would not have been possible without all the amazing bikes that cemented this genre. Thanks a lot for watching this video. If you want to see my view on some adventure bikes, you can check out this video on the Yamaha Tenere 700 or this one on the F700 GS. Subscribe if you enjoyed it, and until next time, have a good one.